Hi there, welcome back to Recorder 101. This is lesson 23. My apologies, first and foremost, for having no lesson last week. Hopefully that's all right with you. I hope that you've had plenty of things to work on and have been fine. I've had a great deal of physical discomfort and things in the past couple of weeks, and this has been influencing the reasons why. Anyhow, still not being completely out of the woods, I was searching for something that I could do today so I don't have to apologize again for missing a lesson. And what I have decided is for us to look at the high notes. And I got out one of my, yes, it's all marked up with pink, because this is the one that goes with the alto, and all too often I was busy looking at the wrong line of music. I also did not work with my music notation software. I've been using MuseScore, which is a free application that you can download, and it's been driving me nuts to take up to 2 hours to try and create one piece of music for this. Is just not helping all the other situations. So I'm going to apologize for writing things out manually. Again, let's see if I can bring this forward. So I'm looking at the high notes, and the first D that we have is the first open note on the soprano recorder. So there's just no things being done. One finger down, right? The thumb is open. And then here on the E with the soprano or the tenor, we begin our half-hold notes. But this D and E and F for our alto recorders are still fully played. It's not until we get to this G that for the alto that we have just one finger down. So let's look at those. D, E, F, G. First on the soprano, D, E, F, G, and then on the alto. Then we could start looking at the others. So with the soprano, the D is just this finger. I'm going to have to look at that again. I've got my thumb down. Mistake. What do we do with our thumb? Well, technically we should just be able to roll it back, not have to really lift it. That's too much, so we just want to roll it back. Yeah, because we want it so that we can get it down and half hold it or bring it back in so that we can go from the C with the thumb down or up to the next note here, D, E. So that's the half hold one. And one of the things I've been trying to do when I can play the recorder, those days that I have been able to do things, is not use my fingernail. So we've gone from D, and then the F. If you have a German soprano, your F is probably here. But this is a Baroque recorder, and that's my sharp. So, excuse me, I've got everything upside down. Yeah. And the next thing that I'm needing to finish this first 4-note sequence is the G. Okay? Now, if we're thinking of our alto recorder, those same notes, remember, they're going to be, the notes on the paper look exactly the same. What happens? This is our D. Thumb down, first two fingers down. Ah, it's the octave lower. So D, E, F. Finally, we get to G. So this G is the octave where we had the half hold and three fingers. So one of the big transitions that we do when we start playing different recorders is to be making the decision or to be able to make that transition from one soprano to an alto and know what the fingering is without having to stop and look. So we can get all the way up to the G here on the alto, which is terrific. We're so happy. And so this is one of the reasons why I began to make a major transition from my soprano to an alto, is because same note, full octave lower. So what would that G be on the soprano? The same sounding note. It would actually be with our thumb covering these. So much lower note. It's hard. Remember, our soprano has been something that goes, it's written as if our lowest note is C, as if it were middle C, where in fact is the C that is auditorially, that's just below the D. So that's important to remember. Now, let's look at the A, B, and C and D here. That D, I'm going to come bring it back up. This one is the highest note that the soprano can do. Yes, if you tweak it some, you probably can get some higher notes. And usually that top little line isn't there to remind you of it, but you've got the two other lines below, ledger lines, to help remind you of this. And these notes are ones that the alto can do that will have very similar fingering, almost identical. So it's going to be, let's get that up. The fingering here for that B will be the fingering for that E. The fingering for that C will be the fingering for the F. And the fingering for that D will be the fingering for that G. We just have to know the fingering and which recorder we're playing to go with this. Now, for me, it's been so long since years, couple of years, so I haven't really been keeping these notes up. As I said, have been looking for something that was relatively easy to do. I think I'm going to take those next week, the higher notes, just so I don't have to bend over. It's the whole back and neck and everything are just screaming at me. So I'm going to make this short and say, practice, get your recorder out, hug it, love it, carry it around, make noises on it. You can. So that's just, why is that different than almost the same? See what you can do with it. If you're looking for different things to do, I strongly recommend that you watch things by Sarah Jeffrey on Team Recorder and find something different to do with your recorder. What's going to happen when you... What can you do with things? Take it up a notch. Don't just stay in this thing. So, wishing you all a really good week, pain-free, hopefully, and I'll be back